I'm not teaching, I am publicly learning. But hi and welcome to Learning for the Life in the UK test, part 151. Some great British inventions of the 20th century while doing morning stretching, and if you participate in the morning stretching, that is at your own risk. So that's on page 56. Some great British inventions of the 20th century. Britain has given the world some wonderful inventions. Examples from the 20th century include, so inventions are things which are new technology, for example, which hasn't existed previously. Discovering means to find something. So a continent can be discovered, but an invention is created new. The continent, Australia, was there before European countries had discovered it. But an invention is something new, and we're having here a couple of them listed. So in Britain there was, for example, invented the television was developed by Scotsman John Logie Baird, 1888-1946, in the 1920s. In 1932 he made the first television broadcast between London and Glasgow. So the television, that is basically a box, especially at that time, and it has a display on one side, and on that through I don't know what they use, through their colors display. It's a display. But I try to explain it now if someone doesn't know what a display is. So it has a front side, and there are lights, and for example, like an ample, it has red, green, and yellow. But I think it's blue by a television. And these are older televisions. I don't know what they use. And these colors, like an ample so an ample in traffic can sign red, yellow, and green. Now, if you don't have 3 of these lights, but let's say 50, you can make a little form. You can, for example, have 50 different lamps. Now you can make a little circle, like you see it maybe by traffic lights, and we are maneuvering the traffic to, with an arrow, drive here to the right or to the left or something like that. So you can make, if you have 50 of these lights, you can make your 10 in a row, and then here 4 and here 4. Now you have an arrow pointing to the left. You have 50 lights, and you make then an arrow. You make 50 of these lights. Now if you don't have 50 of these lights, but let's say 5,000, you can not just make an arrow, but you can make a pretty detailed picture. You can actually picture a human face. You can not just make a line or a circle or an arrow, but you can make actual things of human faces. I don't know how the televisions worked in the 1920s, but pretty much like that. And with all these lights, you can then you make some on and off, and then you display something. They were in black and white, so they were using just light on and off. I don't know. Today they have different colors. I think they have 3: red, blue, and green, I think. And if they are so small, and we are a few meters away, and there are 5,000 of them, the eye can't see the different lamps anymore, and they all look like one. And these colors don't look like one, and they're creating, I don't know how it exactly works, when different colors than just these 3 colors. So they're mixing all together, and for the human eye, when these 5,000 different lamps are looking like a human face. And with that way, someone can, now with a camera, I'm not going to explain that now, can now film something, record how something looks like, and then in a television, this picture cannot be hanging like a painting on the wall, but it can be there, and then the lamps are making, with electricity, another, some go on, some go off, and now it's another picture. So you can show one picture after another. First you make the lamps on that line, and then you have an arrow to the right from that side, and then you make the lamps on that line on, and you have the lamp on that side. You just make the lamps on and off or something like that, and you do that pretty fast, and if you do it 20 times in a second, and you do it with 5,000 lamps, you can depict humans moving. So that is basically television, and that was developed in the 1920s by Scotsman John Logie Baird. And in 1932 he made the first television broadcast between London and Glasgow. What does it mean, a television broadcast? I think we are talking now about more than just television, so just the apparatus. We are talking now about television sending out. And that is necessary because the people do not just want to take a DVD or a Blu-ray into it, or a tape, or an 8-band or whatever was in the 1920s. They want to get now television. They want to get a signal, what they have on the television. So we need now someone sending these signals out. I don't know how it works, but basically someone is sending now to the television, make the light on and off, these lights of these 5000s. I don't know how it works, but it goes pretty fast for electronic electrons. They are very small and they are very fast. And that would be through cable. I don't know how it works through satellite. And I'm not sure if I actually used satellites in the 1920s. But it must be, otherwise he could not make between London and Glasgow a broadcast. So there is someone sending out signals, electrics. I don't know if they're electric. But they need a satellite. How can they send in the 1920s without a satellite? A satellite is... Okay, I don't know. Let's just take what we have. A television was developed in the 1920s. And the first television broadcast between London and Glasgow was done by him in 1932. So I think someone was sending in London, hey, make these 5000 lamps on, and now someone in Glasgow could see the human face moving in Glasgow. And probably also with sound. I'm not trying to explain that now. So the television was, for example, one invention done in Britain was a television by John Logie Bart in the 1920s, and in 1932 the first broadcast. Radar was developed by Scotsman Sir Robert Watson Watt, 1892-1937, who proposed that enemy aircraft could be detected by radio waves. The first successful radar test took place in 1932-35. So radar was developed by Robert Watson Watt, and he said that it is possible to detect an enemy aircraft, or also the arms, by radio waves. And the first successful test was done in 1935, so before the Second World War. So radar is where are radio waves sent out. So let's explain it. I don't know how the radio waves are. Let's just explain it with light or sunlight. So we're having now a flashlight, a very strong flashlight, and it's just sending in all directions out light. And light is not perfectly. And light goes out in all directions. And now, if there's a plane going in from the sky, so we're just sending a big spotlight into the sky, a big flashlight, a big light. And now, if there's a plane flying, we can technically see the plane because of the light. But by radio waves, I think how it works now is the light comes, or the radio waves are coming out. Let's explain it actually as radio waves is easier. And they are coming now against the aircraft. And now we are coming back, like waves are coming against it, and now we are coming back. I think that is how it works, I don't know. So the radio waves are coming out, like light, it just goes out, and when they are hitting the airplane, and the airplane is not longer in the shadow in the dark and is visible, but even differently, the light comes back. Light is also reflected. The moon does not have light, so if you see the moon in the sky, it is a reflection of the light. Sometimes the Earth is here, and here's the moon. And the moon does not have any light. The moon is just dark. But the sun is here, and the sun is shining. We are in the dark here. The sun is shining onto the moon, and the moon is now reflecting with light. Like a mirror does reflect always a little bit, reflects a little bit light. And the moon does reflect with light, and now the moon seems to shine. The moon is just bright. So the moon doesn't have any light, and we see it because the sun is shining at it from another angle. And light is also repelled a little bit. I don't know if repel is even a proper word. But now radar waves are really properly coming back. And they're coming them back through the satellite. I think they have something. So it's like a wave in the ocean. The radar waves hitting the plane, and they are coming them back. And now if they come back, we know there was something. Because on all the other planes there was nothing, it just goes out into the sky. But if there was a plane, we know there's a plane. They're just hitting out, and if they're coming from here back, we know it hit something here. There is an aerial object, and it comes not back. And for that, they could know there is an aircraft. We know where our owns are. Now we're saying we know where the B7 is, where the B8 is, we know where that plane is, and that plane, and there's a plane, and that is, we don't know what that is. That is not registered in our book. That is probably an enemy aircraft. And that was invented or first successfully tested in 1935, so 4 years before Second World War, and when in the Second World War, in the Battle of Britain, it was very important. There were everywhere at the coast, and I think also inland, these big, I don't know how it actually works, these things, and they were sending out radar things, and if the German bombers were coming, or the Stukas, they could, I don't know, maybe they were too fast. So there are different techniques, and then there were stealth airplanes built, and they are not reflecting themselves properly, or they're just coming away, and then they can't be found again. But let's say, but the idea was, because it was pretty new, there are all at the coast in the south of England these radar stations. They are sending out these radar waves. They are hitting the German planes, and now the radar comes back. The waves are catched again, and we know there's a German plane, and now we could send out the Messerschmitts. No, the Spitfires and Hurricanes. The Spitfires and the Hurricanes, and then we could hunt after these bombers or the German Stukas, and I think we used these Messerschmitts, the Germans. So we were detecting where's the German bomber coming. We need some time, I don't know, but let's say 20 minutes or something if they are on the coast until they are in London to drop the bombs. And now they could fast from the airplanes. These pilots, where it is not so much with morning searching. So here at the south of England, maybe I should now check it out. So here, Germany is somewhere here, and the German airplanes were coming from here, and they're flying here over south of England to drop the bombs in London. And now here, everywhere at the coast, there were these radar stations, and they were sending out these waves. And if I detect the German bomber, then the pilots were running fast out to the airplanes, like here. And they were driving up and trying to eliminate these German bombers before they could reach London and drop the bombs. So this radar was developed in 1935 by Robert Watson Watt, and first the success was tested 4 years before the Second World War, so around 5 years before it became necessary to try to detect the German planes. So now we have television and radar. We're having 3 minutes for morning session. We're doing just morning session now. So if you want to go on, then we have more inventions in the next part. We're breathing in and going down. If you participate with this at your own risk, we're breathing out. Breathing in and out. Again in and out. And in and out. And again in and out. And again in. In last time. In. And close. No, breathe in. And close the legs. Then the legs standing wide apart. We're breathing in, lifting the arms up. And we're breathing out, we're going over to the side. So now breathe in and out the rib cage. And out. And again in. And out into the middle. And again in. And breathe out and go over to the other side. And breathe in and out the rib cage. And breathe out again. And breathe again in. And out into the middle. And down. And now one last exercise, I think. You're breathing in. And out, and one hand comes down the leg. And breathe in. And out, and we're taking one arm over. And breathe in and out the rib cage. And out into the middle. And breathe again in. And out, the other hand slides down the leg. Breathe in. And out, take your arm over. Breathe again in and out the rib cage. And out. And in. And out back. Now we don't have time left. So we're just breathing in. And out. And again in. And out. Again in. And out. Again in. And out. Close the legs. And out. So we're done with a very short morning stretching. I thank you very much and until next time.